these pictures as well. I described it as a bizarre sort of twist. I think it is. I'm just imagining being in Malta and seeing two Libyan jets suddenly landing out of nowhere. But it is an important factor because it shows there are defectors. There are elements of the Air Force, of the military, who say we don't want any part in this.
Correct. But there is also another part to that you're absolutely right. The other part to that is that there were orders given to bomb. So these people defected because they didn't want to carry out the orders. And the orders want bomb your own people. You're a Libyan, you're a jet fighter pilot, and you're ordered to bomb your own cousins and so on, and children and what have you. So that is also just as significant as these brave colonels decided not to do that and not to take part and not to be the pawns that the regime wants them to be.
Another example which backs up almost what the Deputy Ambassador to the UN was just telling us, that this regime is crumbling.
Exactly.
If the military, if there are elements, even only two pilots, but even if there are two pilots who say we don't want any part of that, and that's significant in itself.
Exactly. We know several examples, actually, and maybe not in the Air Force, but we know several examples in other parts of the military or the armed forces in general, who have decided not to take any part in this. And they have sided with the right side. They have sided with the people of Libya. So there are several signs all around that say that, in fact, one hypothesis that is floating now is that Gaddafi and his children are not even in the country at all, be it Venezuela or somewhere else, doesn't matter. But he is not physically there. And he is letting these mercenaries and the Italians and the militias, whatever hired guns he has in the country, essentially do the dirty work that needs to be done in the country. And if these people, if these mercenaries and these hired mafias, if you will, if they win the day, then Gaddafi comes in on a white horse and he's a winner, he's a knight. And if they lose, then he's not part of that, he's already outside, he's fled.
Well, we know, or at least we're pretty sure, that one of his sons is in the country, because we saw the quite bizarre speech, extraordinary speech again from Saif, his son. Maybe we've got these pictures we can have a look at now, which I spotted a bit earlier, which were quite interesting. Have a look. This was the speech, being broadcast on AlJazeera Arabic, it looks like, as well. And they're throwing whatever they can. Shoes, of course. I wasn't looking closely enough. Shoes, which is considered quite an insult, as we know, in the Arab world. I mean, that just, again, it shows the depth of feeling, how
it's important to know that, by the way, that this speech was taped. This was not live.
Right, so it could have been whenever,
days
wherever.
Beforehand, yes.
Yeah.
Or taped somewhere else, exactly. So this is no indication that he's in the country, or he was in the country.
What did you make of that speech, though, as we look at it, as we talk about it? What insight did it give us? If
you closed your eyes, you would not know whether you're listening to the father or the son, number one. Number two, you have a young chap here chastising a nation who holds no position in it, talking to us about not having food and medicine and so on, when he has not seen one day in his little life without food or medicine. When he catches cold, he hops on his private plane and goes to England. When the Libyan people basically die in the hospitals because there are no medicines and so on in the hospitals. So here is a guy who comes along and is threatening the Libyan people. You either are with us or you are going to see a lot worse than what you have seen, wagging his finger at the Libyan people. Yeah.
Just seeing here coming through on my screen, the Qatari Foreign Ministry releasing a statement condemning the use of military aircraft and machine guns by the Libyan authorities. There's that word again, which I know you hate, condemning. I mean, it's good that the international community reacts, I'm sure, but where does condemnation take us?
Nothing. It doesn't. Tell that to the mother of a child who was just shot today. Nothing. It doesn't do anything. It basically relieves that country or that entity from the responsibility of not having done anything or said anything. That's all it does. But it doesn't change the facts on the ground. What we want, again, from the international community is tangible action. We want them to have people on the ground to protect the Libyan people and to observe and monitor the violations of human rights that are taking place.
You were saying UN peacekeepers. Blue hats
I want UN peacekeepers. I want these Arab nations. I want these Arab nations that are sitting by looking at this and not doing anything. Where are they? Where is the Arab League? Why have they not done anything? Where is Amr Moussa, who's preparing himself to be the next president of Egypt?
Just a quick word from you before we come up to the top of the hour. Do you think, if you were sat here with me 24 hours from now, that this government will still be in place? Do you think it's happening that quickly? It
could very well happen that quickly. And if it does, I will not be sitting here probably with you. Maybe we'll be celebrating somewhere else.
You'll be on a plane to Tripoli, will you? Ibrahim Jibril,
I hope so.
Great to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Stick around as well. So, as we were saying there with Ibrahim, just things moving so fast in Tripoli, the talk of live ammunition and fighter jets being used on the Libyan people, the 2 jets which landed in Malta after defecting, 2 senior air colonels on board who defected, and there are their jets sitting in Malta now. But the violence and the uprising goes on and on. We saw Benghazi a little bit earlier, as the violence carried on in Benghazi, in the second city. It spread to Tripoli as well. This is a national uprising, you'd have to say. Even though it focuses on those 2 main cities, it is a feeling right across the country, and it goes on and on. I'm Kamal Santamaria. Thanks for staying with us. Live continuing coverage here on AlJazeera.
As the fog hangs warily over London, we can always offer you the perfect pick-me-up.
Hello once again, welcome to another look at the international forecast. We've got our wintry weather now pushing back up across that northeastern quarter of the United States. You can see how this cloud is just continuing to just drift its way into New England. I think as we go on through Tuesday, that will move through quite quickly. But look at these temperatures struggling to reach freezing in Chicago, also in New York. Big drop in temperatures there for Washington, D.C., 3 Celsius. Crisp sunshine, I think we'll call that then. Bear in mind, that's something like a 15-degree drop on the sort of value we were looking at for Monday afternoon. Still some warmth around down to the south. We're getting up into, well, 20 Celsius there for Dallas and 19 for Atlanta, so not looking too bad. Up towards the Pacific Northwest, Western Canada, more wintry weather to come. Yeah, you will see more significant snowfall coming in here. Come down into the Caribbean. A lot of dry weather, plenty of sunshine, some showers there into Costa Rica, into Nicaragua. Heavy showers also a possibility to southern parts of the Windward Islands, but I think for much of the West Indies, it's looking lovely, some very pleasant sunshine to come. Now we're looking at crisp sunshine across central parts of Europe. -5. Berlin, -2 Celsius there for Vienna. The wintry weather will continue down towards the southeastern corner, around Belarus, down into Bulgaria and Romania. We have got wet and windy weather for the west.
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
All the news, all the time. AlJazeera.net/English.
Information travels in many ways. Knowledge passes in an instant.
If you want to communicate with those shaping the headlines, this is your chance to ask questions directly to the people making the news. Riz Khan, at this time on Al Jazeera.
People talk about televising the revolution. It's tweeting the revolution, Facebooking the revolution, videotaping the revolution.
A new world driven